My Stirling Single, part 27, experimenting with paint to achieve a specific finish. This video shows the painting of the smokebox, so I'm not going to use etching primer, I'm going to use high temperature paint, but only as a primer. If this experiment doesn't go as planned, all we'll have to do is wipe off all the paint using a suitable solvent and a cloth. Paint purists must be thinking, what's going on here? Why not just spray the paint? In the previous video I showed a couple of photograph clips of the cab and the smokebox of a full-size Stirling Single, and neither the cab or the smokebox were particularly well painted. Don't forget this is a very old engine. Not my model, I mean the full size. I don't want to spray it if possible because it will look like a new engine. That's why I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it, just to see whether it is effective or not. This heat-resistant paint is very thin, and I'm brushing it on in a specific way, very carefully. I don't want to get too much of this paint on the main boiler barrel, and it is helping using a flat paintbrush to get a good straight edge. In this clip I'm painting the rear cylinder cover, but I've just noticed some water running down onto the slide bar, so I'll leave that part for now. After a few very carefully brushed applications of the high temperature paint, the smokebox now looks like this. The problem is, it needs to be shiny, not dull. This is a tin of Phoenix Precision Paints black, and it's gloss black. In this clip I'm painting the piping to the injectors. Originally I painted this piping using HMG Paints satin black, but I thought it was too dull. Now I think it looks a lot better in a gloss black. Two of the pipes were stuck together, so I spread them apart using a screwdriver blade. I gave the thin coat of high temperature paint a very light rub down with some wet to dry sandpaper, and here I'm using the Phoenix Precision Paints black to see what it looks like. This paint feels very thick after using the high temperature paint. I am aware that Phoenix Precision Paints often flattens off as it dries, but I really don't like the way this paint is going on. I cannot help but put too much of it on, it will not thin out on the brush. But I'll carry on regardless for a while and put a bit more on. The paint is covering in one coat, which is not really what I want. I really don't like the way this is looking. I think I'm going to stop and put the brush into reverse. This paint was okay for the piping, but it's not good for the smokebox. So with some help from my unpainting brush, I'm removing the paint. The next paint I'm going to try is some stuff that I use very frequently. It's Humbrol gloss black paint. In the previous clips I used an ordinary paintbrush. In this one I'm using the flat brush again, the one I used to put this primer coat on. This Humbrol paint is definitely flowing better. It's spreading onto the smokebox a lot thinner, but it's still got very good coverage. I think I'll persevere with this and do the entire smokebox, leave it for 24 hours and have a look at it. If I don't like what I see, I can very easily remove every bit of the paint using cellulose or lacquer thinner and a cloth. Here's the entire smokebox after the first coat of paint, and to be fair, at the moment, even though the paint's wet, it's not looking too bad. But I won't know until tomorrow how good or bad it is going to look. This locomotive has gunmetal cylinders, not cast iron. The front and rear cylinder covers on the full size are a silvery grey colour, but here, as you can see, the front cylinder covers are a gunmetal colour. I will paint these the right colour once I've finished the main painting of the smokebox. Here's a smokebox door that I sprayed yesterday with high temperature paint. The coverage is not bad, but it doesn't look right. So I'm also going to paint this part using Humbrol black gloss enamel. Here's a shot of the freshly painted smokebox. Please bear in mind this is the first coat. And after this first coat has thoroughly air dried, I'm going to steam the engine to bake the paint onto the smokebox. I've used Humbrol enamel before on smokeboxes and it's generally been okay. But as I said at the beginning of this episode, this is an experiment with paint. After baking the paint onto the smokebox, I will then carefully rub it down using some very fine wet to dry sandpaper before giving it another complete coat of Humbrol black gloss enamel, but thinned down. and with a bit of luck this will give me the finish that I'm looking for. And that's it for now. Stay safe, stay well, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists you can actually watch the videos back to back.